friends, Katrina the Crafty Cataloger here. If you are a returning friend, thank you so much for coming back to visit. And if you are new here and perhaps just stopped by because maybe the title of this video caught your eye or you heard about me somewhere else, thanks for taking the time to see what I've been up to. And hopefully you'll like what you see and maybe you'll find something that inspires you or just that you enjoy. If you are new here, I do dabble in multiple crafts. Cross stitch is my first love, but I also do quilting, knitting, and paper crafting, and I do also read a lot. I am a librarian. That is my profession. That is where my channel name comes from. I catalog books for a living. So today is going to be a little bit different. Those of you who have watched my videos regularly know that it's been a while. Actually, I looked, it's been since April since I was able to do an update. I did not intend to go so long between updates, but life sometimes goes in different directions, and this time it kind of went in a good one, but that definitely made life busy. So today what I would like to do is do basically a reset of my channel, because I honestly don't even remember what I showed last time. I realized I could go watch the video, but I don't know what I showed. I don't even really know what I've worked on in the last few months, but I have done some things. So I'm gonna pretty much do a WIP parade, where I will show my cross stitch, and I will show a few quilting things, and I will show my current knitting project. Excuse me. I will not be showing any paper crafting today, and I will talk about reading in general, but I'm not going to share any actual books. So I guess I'll start out with a story. The story of where I've been and why I haven't done an update in a few months. I think I've probably shared on here before that I started out my career as a librarian in a public school. I was the media director for a small rural school district in mid-Michigan for about 17 and a half years. It was the same school district that my husband teaches at. My husband is a band director. And then about 11 years ago, I made a career change and I took a different job in a public library. When we had our first child, I think we both, but it was mostly me pushing, said that we needed to move. We were living over by the Elma area, and it was about a half-hour drive to the school. And it was just too much with a newborn and working full-time, and my husband's job requires him to be there a lot after school for marching band and pep band and various things, and I tend to go to most of that stuff, and so carting a baby back and forth with all of his paraphernalia, etc., was a lot. And so we moved. In 2001, we bought a house closer to the school. The house we purchased was 7 miles southwest of the school. When I took my new job, I knew that I was going to be giving up my 10-minute commute, but I needed to make a change. And basically, there aren't a whole lot of library jobs around. So I knew that I was going to have to make my circle pretty big, and I was probably going to have to go out about 45 minutes in any direction to find a job. And I did. I found a job with the Chippewa River District Library System, which is in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. And so that took my 10-minute commute to a 40 to 45-minute commute, which I was okay with. And I've been okay with the whole time, in the sense that I actually like driving cars. I like the act of driving. What I don't like is the amount of time it was taking out of my life. And after about a year, at my current job, I suggested to my husband that we move. I suggested that we move 7 miles northeast of the school, which would keep us in our current school district, or then current, because we have moved out of district. It would not change his commute at all, really, except for the direction in which he was driving. And it would cut my commute almost in half. For whatever reason, he didn't want to do that and said that we needed to wait until our kids were out of school. Again, I really didn't understand his logic, considering that my suggestion would not take us out of the school district. But whatever. I decided not to fight it. Then it kind of became, well, maybe when I retire. I was honestly beginning to think that we were really never going to move, and I was just always going to spend an hour and a half on the road every day. Which, again, I didn't mind, but I did mind. So then earlier this year, my husband all of a sudden said, maybe we should move like just before I retire. And he had his reasons, which sounded like decent reasons to me. And so we started looking. Now he's not retiring this year, and I don't think this would ever get out to anyone in this area, but I'm not going to say when he's planning on retiring because he doesn't really want that known at this point. We're getting close. Let's just say that. He's getting close from retiring from education, and then he will find a different job somewhere else because he's too young to just retire. But anyway, we started looking. And even when I started looking and I would send him some houses and say, oh, well, this one looks nice. This one looks nice. He almost always had a reason why it wasn't a good house. He didn't like it. And so then him and I had a pretty good discussion. I said, I guess we need to sit down and talk about what the non-negotiables are. Because the one house that I really loved, although in hindsight, I think it wasn't really in a location that we would have wanted to go. It was further north. Anyway, it was a beautiful house and I really liked it. The pictures online. But when we got to researching, we didn't ever even call an agent, but when we got to researching it, there was no internet service out there to speak of. And so then it kind of came out in our conversation that wherever we moved had to have fiber internet because that's what we had at our other house. And he did not want to go backwards. And I know that sounds like a strange thing to base buying a house on, but I get it. I have my hobbies. His hobby is gaming. He plays games on the internet. And so he needs a good internet connection. And I'm not going to lie, I enjoy the great internet connection also. So that did limit where we could look because fiber internet isn't everywhere. Through the discussion, it kind of came down to, well, we can't do anything until we talk to a real estate agent and see how much our current house is worth and talk to a bank to see how much money we can even get approved for. And all of a sudden he was making appointments and we did that. And then we started like making lists of houses we were seriously interested in looking at. And we asked our agent to set up a day where we would go look. And we took a Saturday morning and we looked at 4 houses. This house was the second house. I will be honest with you, I had us all moved in before we even looked at the house physically. Looking at the pictures, like I could envision us living in this house. So we looked at 4 houses that day. This was the second one. When we were done looking at the last house, this was still the top contender. And so we decided to put an offer in on it, and it was accepted 2 hours later. And so therefore, July was spent packing. August was spent moving and unpacking. And now I'm just enjoying living in my new house. We are basically, I would say 98% settled in. Everything that can be unpacked is unpacked and put away, and I think that most people walking into the house would think that we'd lived here forever. Everything's just put away. We are still waiting for the other house to sell, and I'm trying not to get discouraged about that. And one of the things that this house does not have is a barn, and we had a very large barn at the other house. We do not need that large of a barn, but we are going to build something here. We keep saying we're going to build a barn, but really I think what we're going to build is an oversized garage. And so there is still stuff at the other house in the barn. The house is empty. There are some random things in the garage. The things in the barn, though, we don't really want to move because we don't really have much of a place to put them here. They'll probably end up having to go in the garage short term while the barn / detached garage is being built. But I want to park in the garage for as long as I can. So we're in a holding pattern right now because we can't build the new garage until we sell the other house. It's all good. Anyway, that is where I've been and why I have not done an update video. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with cross stitch. I'm going to, as I said, basically do a WIP parade. There are going to be some finishes thrown in with that because they are kind of still works in progress, which I'll explain as we go. And then at the end of that, I'm going to go through a plans parade. I have a stack of things that I want to start, but I need to finish some things first. I don't think I've mentioned this, but my intention also is to do a craft room tour at the end of this video. And I'll probably say this in the craft room tour, but when I was packing up my craft room at the other house and unpacking and setting up this craft room, I determined that I am not allowed to purchase anything until I get some of this stuff done. I don't need anything more, and I need to not spend more money until I have gotten some of these things done. And I'm sure I'll talk about that more in a little bit. So anyway, let's dive into cross stitch. I'm going to start out the cross stitch WIP parade with my full coverage pieces. I have 3 full coverage pieces. 2 of them are Hayes. One of them is a Tilton Crafts. I will put a picture up first of what the piece will look like, and then I will show my piece. So the first piece is called Mini Village Bookstore it's a Hayes, and I believe the artwork is by Randall Spangler. And unfortunately it is on its scroll rod still. This is where I am currently. This is the one that when we moved in, I sat this out next to my stitchy chair. I had hoped that my stitchy chair would fit in my craft room, but my eyes were bigger than this room. It's a nice size room, and I love it, and I love how it's come together, but it's not that big. So I am stitching in the upstairs living room, which is fine because we've set up most of the actual living room stuff in the basement, and so the living room upstairs is kind of just an extra space for me. My next full coverage piece is Sunlight Sonata by Tilton Crafts. And also, I should have said this before, I'm horrible about telling what kind of fabric, what size, what kind of threads I'm using, etc. I know this about myself. I can tell you that this one is on 25 count, and this is the one that I struggle with the most because I have a hard time seeing it. So it's 25 count 1/1. Mini Village Bookstore was 18 count 2/2. 2/1. See, I shouldn't even try because I screw it up. Anyway, below in the description box, there is a link to a Google Doc, which I am working on updating it a little bit more, but it has all that pertinent information in it for all of my projects. So anyway, Sunlight Sonata by Tilton Crafts, and this is where I am so far. There's a lot in here that you can't really see because it's white, and that's another thing that I'm struggling with is the white on white. If I had to start this one over again, I think I would be real tempted to start it on maybe a cream or gray or something that had a little bit of color to it, because it is extremely hard to see. My third full coverage piece is called Minnie the Library, and it is a Haid, and I cannot right off the top of my head remember the artist's name. I'm sorry, I'm moving needle minders out of my way. So hopefully I've had the picture up there. And this is where this one is. This one I originally started with Sarah, Stitchin' Mommy, and somebody else, I think Terry of Terry Lee Crafts was going to start it, but I don't think she ever did. So I really enjoyed working on that one. It kind of has some big blocks of color, so it goes nice and quickly when you do work on it. Anyway, I started to say that I put Mini Village Bookstore out by my stitchy spot, and I intended to have that one be the full coverage I was working on, and I have not worked on it at all. And I'm actually kind of considering just putting my full coverage on hold until 2025 and focusing on some smaller things to get them done, and then restarting my full coverage rotation. I have not made a final decision on that yet, but it is in the back of my mind. Then this is not, well, it's kind of almost a full coverage, but most people probably wouldn't consider it full coverage. This is Glory of Autumn. It's a dimensions kit, and I really love this piece, but I really don't like working on it. I really want this one finished. I kind of have a plan. Is that a string hanging? My thought is that this is going to get hung up in the fifth wheel camper, and I just need to get it finished. But like I said, it's not my favorite to work on. My last piece that is on scroll rods is this is the Day, and this one is, I can just hold this picture up. This is a Plum Street Samplers. This is the Day. There are several people online working on this one. And this is where mine currently is. Oh, let's look that up. I'm trying not to make too big a mess. Another WIP that I have in progress is Give Thanks. This is a Teresa Kogut. And I'm hoping that the lighting is not terrible. I pulled a lamp in from the living room, and I'm not sure yet that I have it looking real good, but hopefully it's good enough. This is where this is. Another one I would love to get finished, especially right now. This would be great hanging on the wall at this time of year. So I would like to get this one finished up. This one is Irony, the opposite of wrinkly. It's a hands-on design. This is part of a series, Oops. The sailing thing is blowing things around. This is part of the laundry company series by Hands On Design. And I don't have, this pattern doesn't have the other pictures on it. There's one that says Laundry, the Never Ending Cycle. I already have that one finished, fully finished. It is downstairs above the washer and dryer. Funny side story. I think in my last video I went on about how I had to buy a new washer and dryer, and I hated washers and dryers in the basement. Guess what my new house has? Washer and dryer in the basement. That's probably one of its only flaws. And I was going to flip the washers and dryers and bring my brand new one over here, and then after we got moved in we realized that the dryer here is a gas dryer and my dryer at the other house is an electric dryer. So again, once that other house sells, I will probably replace them, but I had to leave my brand new washer and dryer behind. It was kind of sad. And I'm doing okay with it in the basement. I've learned to use my Apple Watch for more than just a watch, and I actually set a timer every time I start a load of laundry, and that helps. That's my biggest beef with having it in the basement, is I forget that stuff's in the washer, and then, you know, I have to rewash it, but I've been setting a timer, so I haven't been forgetting. So I'm not terribly far on irony, but I'm getting there. Oh, also I was going to mention that each one of these patterns, there are 3 patterns in the series. There's Laundry, the Never Ending Cycle, Irony, the Opposite of Wrinkly, and I honestly cannot remember what the third one says off the top of my head, but I didn't care for the third one. I do own it though, because each pattern came with an additional like bonus pattern that was a word, and the words say wash, dry, fold, I think. And I also have already stitched those, and they're just waiting to be finished. So my plan was to put the 2 actual cross stitch pieces plus the 3 words like in my laundry area. So I would love to get this one finished also, so I could do that. Next up, I have Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. Here's a little bit of something I bought at some point. I thought that was kind of cute. Little kitty cat. My Long Dog Samplers Pandemic is, here's where I am. I know that this one will take forever, and that's okay. It's a lot of fabric. My current, and I don't have an actual picture. What? No, I take that back. I do have a picture. I didn't think I did. Well, I want to show this one yet. I want to show this one first. I am working on, this is called Horde, I think. This is a pattern that I got 2 patterns off Etsy. They are shields or something from the World of Warcraft game, which is what my husband and son play. And my husband found them and he thought they were cool, and he never says anything about cross stitch. So I thought, well, if you think they're cool, I'm gonna make it for you. So this is where this one is. I'll probably end up having to stitch both of these twice because I think my son is gonna want his own set. But, and actually, even though I have no idea really what it is I'm stitching, this one's kind of enjoyable also because there are big enough chunks of color that you can do a bunch and then move on and it doesn't get boring. I would love to get that finished up. And now we'll move on to the one I was going to talk about a second ago. So this is kind of an ongoing WIP. And I talked about this previously, that my mother had purchased all of these lighthouse patterns, and then she passed them on to me because she doesn't cross stitch. And I didn't know what I was going to do with them. And I think I shared before that I decided, someone had told me that Laura Stitching by the Shore, I think is the name of her channel, puts a lot of her stuff into scrapbooks. And I went and I watched, and yes, that's exactly what I want to do. So that's what I'm going to do. So this one that I'm working on, and I'm hoping to actually finish today or tomorrow, is called Point of Bars. And it should look like this when it's finished. It's an awful picture. But here's where mine looks currently. So I actually have, I'm not enjoying working on this one. There's way too much white. Also, this one is the only one that was like this. This one is a kit, and so the thread was just, you know, loose. It's not on any kind of cardboard or anything that's labeled. So telling the difference between white versus very light gray versus light gray versus gray is almost impossible, and it's horrible. I don't like it. Then the rest of the patterns were all in, there's 2 of these books. The other one is over there, so I can't really get to it. This book is Straits of Mackinac Lighthouses, and the other book is Lake Huron Lighthouses, and there are 6 lighthouses in each book. So this book, I have not done anything out of this book. I have all 6 of the other ones done. And so now I guess we're kind of transitioning into, this is still kind of an ongoing WIP, but these are finished. So I do have Middle Island Lighthouse done. I have 40 Mile Point done. Oh, not lighthouses, but I have 3 of this year's Christmas ornaments done. I really need to get back to those, don't I? Christmas is coming faster than we know. Guess I shouldn't have that in the lighthouse book. Presqu'Île Lighthouse is finished. And let's see. Oodles and oodles of paper that we've purchased for this project. So let me do something here. I don't want to end up with this all over the floor. So the plan is that I'm going to do a scrapbook. So I found this perfect scrapbook at Joann's. I love that it has the little anchors on it. I don't know what I'll put here, but I'll figure something out. My plan is to, more paper. Basically put on the left side, I'm going to put an information sheet. Actually, I can show you. I have a mock-up of one that I've started, where I'm going to get a picture off the internet, maybe a couple pictures on a map. Kind of hard to see, but there's a map there. And then just some stats about the lighthouse, like when it was built, when it was first lit, when it was automated, what kind of construction it is, what kind of lens it has, maybe its range, how many nautical miles it can light out, and any characteristics. And I'll put that on the left side, and then I'll put the stitched piece on the right side. So this was the first one I did, Tawas Point. And I also already have Sturgeon Point finished and mounted on the page. And I think those are the only ones that I have done. Oh, no. Here, I can take this one. Old Presqu'Île Light is also done. And I have ironed and ironed and ironed, and she's just going to have to live with the lines in this Ada. Some of the Ada that I used was stuff that I had inherited from someone, and so it's kind of old. but it's fine. So that project. I still kind of have hopes that I could finish that and give this to her for Christmas, because if I could finish this one this week, if I really put my mind to it, I can do one of those lighthouses in about a week. So really, I feel like I should be able to do that. A recent finish, as in finished it Saturday. Today's Monday. I'm off today because I worked yesterday. Saturday, I went to a stitchy meetup in Saginaw. It was organized by Harmony. Her channel name used to be Harmony Stitches, but she recently changed it to Cornerstone Stitchery. Harmony had also put together a small retreat back, I think that was in May, and I went to that, and it ended up just being 4 of us, but it was a lovely weekend. Yeah, it was at the retreat center that's owned by the Quilt Shop in Chesaning, and 2 of the 4 of us actually were staying there for the weekend, and then Harmony and I think Peggy was the other woman's name, who drove back and forth every day. But it was really nice. And that was a fun thing. And then yesterday she had arranged this stitchy meetup at Panera Bread in Saginaw, and I got to meet Kim, the Spartan Stitcher, Kim Hollenbeck. I was like, I looked up and she was there. I was like, there's Kim. I was so excited. Anyway, I finished this while I was over there. Autumn Rules. This is Primrose Cottage Stitches, I'm pretty sure is who this is by. I think this is super cute. I started this in July, and honestly, I really should have put it down a long time ago, but it was pretty easy to stitch, and it went pretty fast, and I was just like, I'd really kind of like to finish this for my new house. So I'm hoping, I don't know if I'll get to it today, probably not, to somehow fully finish it, but I have this fabric with all different color leaves on it, and I thought that if I could somehow mount it so that this was like behind it, I thought that would look really cool. So I'd like to do that. So anyway, that's kind of what I have going on. Now let's get into why I'm not allowed to buy anything more, because I have lots of things waiting to be started and worked on. And the first thing that I have, I've been doing these wiener dog projects for my sister-in-law. This is Winter Wienerland. These are by Plum Street Samplers. I have the fabric and floss and the pattern in the bag. Need to get that started and going so that I can get that to her. One of the other things I did this summer, if you're a quilter, you might know about this, but if you're not, you probably wouldn't. Quilt shops tend to do these things called shop hops, and basically it's just a way to get you to come into their store, but they will many times offer this shop hop, and the stores that are participating will give you a discount or whatever. Well, there's a company, and the company is not here in Michigan, but they've been putting together shop hops, like statewide shop hops in various states, and this year they added Michigan to their roster, and they put together an all Michigan shop hop. And shops have to opt in and say that they want to participate, because it does cost money for them to participate. I think there were 82 shops I heard that were participating. My mom kept, bringing it up, and I knew what she really wanted was she wanted somebody to drive her around to all these shops. So my mom and I did that, I think 4 different days we went out and about and hit shops, and I don't honestly know how many we hit, but we hit quite a few. And I was trying to purchase something at almost every shop. And many times all I bought was a fat quarter. So maybe I only spent $3 or $4, but I was trying to still support them without breaking my bank. But some of the shops also had cross-stitch supplies. So sometimes I was able to buy some cross-stitch supplies. Also, at the retreat back in May, one of the things that Harmony planned was for us to go up to Saginaw, well, Shields actually, to a Stitch in Time, which is a cross-stitch store there. It would be what I would consider my local needlework shop. It's the one closest to me. And we basically had the shop to ourselves for like an hour, 2 hours, I don't know. And then it was really fun because after the fact, we went out to dinner and the shop owners met us there and had dinner with us. And so we got to chat with them for another hour or two. It was really fun. One of the things I bought when we went to the shop was this piece. I thought this was cute. It's called Seasonal Samplings Winter. It's a Primrose Cottage Stitches. I think their stuff is really cute, but I do have to admit that I'm not a big fan of their charts because they're in color and I find them kind of hard to read. I bought this fabric to put that on. So I would love to get that one going. This is The Little Bits of Christmas by the Drawn Thread. I can't even tell you how long ago I purchased this, but it's been in my pile for a long time, 2 or 3, 4 years, and I have yet to start it. And that's just silly. Why am I continuing to buy stuff when I have that and I haven't started it? So I would like to start that one at some point. Bought this one a long time ago too, and I've never started it. Ornament Snow Globe by Shannon Christine. Really want to start that one. I also have the fabric, a nice white opalescent, and I even have the threads all kitted up for this one. Again, do not need to purchase anything more. I need to. One of the things that we got as part of the swag bag that at the retreat was one of Harmony's new patterns. She started her own designing company, which she's calling Cornerstone Stitchery. And this is the one I got. You Knit Me Together. She did this one. Her model was in a blue. It's not this blue. This is the kind of thread she used. It's Threadworks, but this is not the blue. They didn't have the right blue, but I also fell in love with this color, this purple. I don't know what I'm going to use this for, but I just had to have a skein of that. I've never used Threadworks before, so that will be a new thing for me. When we were at the shop during the retreat, I also purchased, I spent way too much money that day. So again, reason why Katrina does not need to spend anymore. I bought this pattern called Sumatran Lace by Ink Circles. Ink Circles reminds me a lot of Long Dog Samplers. There is something relaxing about stitching these, I think, just because you do them all in one color. And so it takes a little bit of the thought out of it, I guess. I purchased this piece of fabric for that. I don't know. It's kind of a bold choice, don't you think? And then I purchased this gray Threadworks because I thought that would look really nice on there. We shall see. Again, need to get it started. Thought I dropped something, but maybe not. Another piece I bought while we were at the store for the retreat, and this one though, I can justify. This one is going to be the Christmas ornaments for my sons and 2 nieces next year. So Christmas present for next year. So that doesn't count, right? This is Reindeer Games by Brenda Gervais. And there are 3 different designs in here. And the pattern actually came with these 3 of these little wood ornament things. And I need to get back with Colette over at Stitch in Time and see. She was going to check and see if you could buy more of those, because I actually bought the fabric and Colette cut them for me. Like already, I have all the pieces cut for all of them. So this will be something I definitely get started in January of 2025, so that they will be ready in December. This is one of the things I purchased while my mom and I were out on the quilt shop hop. There's a quilt shop in Alpena, and so I said, well, if we're going there, then I want to check out Stitches and Blooms. Is that the name of it? There's a very nice cross stitch store in Alpena. Alpena's a long way up there. So I don't get over there and up there that often. So we made a pit stop there, and I bought this piece, which is Stony Creek Frosty Friend blocks. I just thought they were all really cute, and I love stuff like this that I can put up like when I put my Christmas decorations up, but I can also leave up, you know, basically until March. And I bought some fabric on a whim, 28 count Lugana in the color Moonstone to do that on. So I think that will look very nice. Would like to do that. This piece I bought also on the shop hop with my mom. Moe's Needle and Threads in Portland, Michigan is a quilt shop, but they also have a whole room of cross stitch stuff. I thought that was a cute one. I've seen other people do, this is the Winter Quaker. I've seen other people do some of these Quaker Primrose Cottage. There's Primrose Cottage again. I seem to have a thing with them. This chart is not in color though, so I'm happy to see that. I bought that one. Here's another Plum Street Samplers weenie pattern. This one is Starbarks, which I just think is funny. And I have the fabric for it. I already have the 28 count wheat Lugana fabric for that. Very large piece. I wonder why I bought such a large piece. Is it really going to be that big? This is a half a yard. Wow. And I also have Sweater Weather, which is these are the last ones I'm going to do of these 3 that I showed just now of these. There are a few more, and this is the fabric I bought for that. There are a few more in that series. I'm not doing anymore. These are the last 3. This will give her a nice coverage through the whole year in terms of, you know, having something for every season. And then one thing that I don't have kitted up and in this pile that I'd like to get started is I have the 2023 Shannon Christine, I think it was a Christmas sale where I paid for it like in January, but I got it every month. I haven't even started it. So I do not need to purchase anything more until I get some of this stuff done. Now, my caveat to that is if I'm working on something and I need a color of thread or I need a piece of fabric, obviously I'm going to go buy that. But I don't need to be purchasing any more patterns. But that wraps up cross stitch. Let me move a couple things and then we will talk about a couple of quilting things. Last time, I think I showed a quilting project that I was doing for my mother-in-law. I have finished it. I'm going to insert a picture here because I don't really think that I can hold it up in a way that you would be able to actually see it. I finished that a couple weekends ago, and I'm hoping to take that to the long armor in the next week or so that I can get that quilted and then back to me so that I can get the binding on it and give that to her for Christmas. And then I started right in on another project. This is something I purchased while my mom and I were on the shop hop. I found this panel. It says, "Leaves are falling, autumn calling, fall is coming." And I'm going to step back just a little bit so you can hopefully see the whole thing. Or I've already sewn on one border, the green, all the way around. And then it has a cute bicycle. I just think it's a cute panel, and it was on clearance, so I think I paid maybe $5 for it. I am attempting to do this pattern with it. I do need to take this out. I kind of have in my head where I want to put this in the dining room. And I need to make sure that by doing all of these borders, I'm not going to end up with it being too wide. If that's the case, I might only put a couple of borders on it and call it good. I don't really need it to be huge. I just think it's a cute panel. And here are some of the fabrics that I am hoping to use. This one has some flowers on it, and then this one is just like a, what do they call that? Grunge white, off-white with some gray in it. And then I have lots to choose from. Basically, like I said, when I would go into these shops, I was buying fat quarters to show my support, but I was trying to buy them with like these fall projects in mind. So like I have that one and I have that one. So I was trying to pick things in browns and greens and oranges that I thought would work. And I haven't decided where any of these are really going to go on this project, but those are the things that I'm hoping to use. I also have these two, and I'm not sure that they fit. I think this is super cute fabric, but I'm not sure if it fits with this project, but I also don't know if I have enough of it. And then I have this one. So I have a lot of fall fabrics to choose from, and I'm hoping to finish that up. Other than those two things, I haven't been doing a whole lot of sewing, except for I did alter the kitchen curtains, and I'll put a before and after of the kitchen curtains that were in this house. Funny thing, I had that same exact curtain print on the back door at the other house, and this print is on the valances in the dining room and in the kitchen in this house. So the previous owner and I had similar tastes. I shortened those, and then I did some work on the curtains in the basement. But other than that, I haven't really been doing any sewing. So I have some quilting projects that I want to work on, but I'm not going to bother sharing those at this point. I will do those in the future when we move forward. Next up, let me show you my one knitting project. I probably have other knitting projects. I know I have other knitting projects on the go, but I'm not going to go through all of those today because this is the only one that I'm seriously working on at this moment. And I'm not sure that I can show it to you really well because it is on the needles and I'm in the middle of a row. I think it is coming along nicely. This is called the Stormy Seas Shawl, I believe. And I'm almost done. I think I have about 5 rows left. But the rows are long, very long, and they take a while. and I find that I can only knit about one row, and then I need to put it down because then my hands are starting to hurt. I did purchase a knitting project at one of the quilt shops, was also a knitting store. A couple of them were actually. So I have that, but again, I'm not going to show that right now. But again, I do not need to buy anything more. I have more than enough to keep myself busy. So let's see, we've covered cross stitch, we've covered quilting. I said we're not going to cover paper crafting today, and I've talked about knitting. So the only thing left to talk about is reading. And I'm not going to share what I've been reading or anything that I've been reading lately because we don't have time for that today. I was very good about doing some little posts on Instagram every month, and I know I got the impression that several people really liked those, and I apologize because I'm about 3 months behind. And the sad thing is that the posts in Canva are started and actually maybe even almost finished, so I really just need to sit down and finish them and post them. So they are coming. I'm probably just going to do them all at once. But I am steadily reading. I think I'm at 70 out of 75 books for my Goodreads goal this year. So I'm doing pretty well. The only downside to having a shorter commute, I guess back to my story. So yes, this house does solve the problem of my commute. My husband's commute increased by 5 minutes. So he went from 10 minutes to 15. My commute decreased from 40 to 45 to 15. We could not have found a house more halfway in between if we had tried. If you put in the address into a mapping thing or on Zillow, it literally says it is 16 minutes to the school, 15 minutes to my work. You couldn't get much better than that. So the only downside to that is that my audiobook listening time has lessened. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm still listening. Like last night when I was washing dishes, I was like, I need to go get my earbuds and I need to listen while I am doing this. So I'm just trying to be more mindful of other times that I can listen so that I don't totally lose all of that time. But I am still enjoying a lot of good books, and I will get those Instagram posts put up for those of you who did like to see those. I am going to stop the camera and I'm going to clean up my mess, and then I am going to do a craft room tour. So it won't seem like this to you, but I'll be back in just a minute. So I am standing in the hallway outside my craft room, so you kind of can see in there. I do have two nice windows. Hopefully that ceiling fan won't be weird. This room was the only room of the 3 bedrooms that had a ceiling fan, and it was the oldest. It was like circa 1980. We had to replace it, but we had to put ceiling fans in all the other rooms anyway because we like ceiling fans in our family. So when you come in and turn to your left, this wall I lined with 4 sets of cubbies from Menards. I actually could have fit 2 more, but I told myself not to buy 2 more because then I would just fill them with stuff, and I'm trying to avoid that. I think I did not mention when I was telling the story about moving, but we filled a dumpster, and we had actually filled a dumpster last summer, and I've taken at least 6 trips to Goodwill, and at least 4 of them my car was packed, which is kind of embarrassing. Like, why do I have all this stuff that I'm obviously not using? And I think that's part of the problem. When you have space, you just like stick it someplace and you go, oh, it's not hurting anything. Well, I don't want to be that one anymore. I want to I don't want to be a minimalist, but I also don't want to just have random things laying around taking up space. So I'm trying to really be more mindful of what I have around me. This picture I have on the wall, I just really think that's a pretty picture. That was a Dollar General find. It was super cheap. I've had it for a long time. So down here I have this this plastic file thing is full of scrapbook paper. I guess I should also come over here. Sorry, I stuck the light in the hallway. My 12 by 12 paper hangs on the back of my door. And you can see that some of the pockets also have a manila envelope in them. That's where I put my scraps. So if I use part of this piece of paper and I have less than a 12 by 12, I stick it in the envelopes so that it stays together. And then my regular size paper is in this thing. This little wooden shelf thing I just put there actually because I needed someplace to put my stamp pad holder, this twirls, and I actually started putting it by putting it on there, and I didn't feel that that was sturdy enough. So I put this there, and then I ended up filling it with these books, most of which are my mother's. This is probably going to be where my 25 in 25 come from next year. I want to get those read and out of here. So my plan originally, before we moved in, I thought I was going to put all of that in the closet. The closet was not as big as I thought it was. The closet is good size, but it's not deep enough. So if I would have put these in the closet, I wouldn't have been able to get to either side. But so I have the baskets in the center section, and I actually already owned the 4 gray baskets, the 2 on top and 2 on bottom. They're not exactly the same, but they're all 4 gray. And I bought the blue ones for this when we moved here. I may actually buy 2 more blue ones so that I can move the 2 gray ones up and have the whole center be baskets, but I haven't decided that yet. I do have all of them labeled. I found these nice label, these little things on Amazon. They just clip on your baskets. So I just used my computer, and so I have knitting projects, yarn, and then the blue ones are all fabric. I have my fabric divided up, white, yellow and orange, pink and reds, blues and purples, greens and browns, and grays and blacks. And then the bottom 2 gray bins are cross stitch fabric and cross stitch supplies. So like hoops, Q-snaps, that kind of thing. Sorry, I really am trying not to make everybody sick. Up here at the top, I have just some random stuff like batting and stuff, a light box, and a piece to the sewing machine, things that I will not access very often. And I'm actually hopeful that at some point I can get that stuff down out of there if I get other stuff used up, but maybe not. I mean, it's not really hurting anything up there. This top shelf, those are all stamps, Stampin' Up! At some point went to the point where they weren't mounting them on wood anymore, and you get them in these DVD cases, so those are all stamps. That green box, I used to be the yearbook advisor, and every year we'd get like this kit, and that's one of the boxes that one of my kits came in, but I have a set of letters and numbers, like foam letters and numbers, and I have them like velcroed to pieces of cardstock, and they're in there. Then this is new, just did this last week. I actually took all of my stamps out of the clamshells, except for 2 sets. I do have 2 sets tucked back here in the back. So when I say clamshells, I mean this. Stampin' Up! Used to sell their stamp sets in these clamshell boxes. And as you can see from this one, they have not aged well. They have yellowed quite a bit. these two sets, this set with the cars and then this sports set, I did not do this with. I don't want to get rid of those because they could be useful someday if I have grandchildren, but I don't really think they're things I'll use for now. But I bought these boxes on Amazon. I really like them. They just open up, and I basically took all my stamps out and I rearranged them. So they're not by set anymore, which would probably make true Stampin' Up! Person cringe. But I made a box for Christmas. I made a box of music stamps, sentiments. I have 2 sentiments, and then I have 2 that are just kind of images, and I didn't label those. I probably should. But that made it so that my stamp sets basically fit on 2 shelves. And I think I'm really going to like this because now I can actually look at this box and I can say, oh, I'm looking for something that says happy birthday, and I can actually see all my, what they actually say, and I can be like, oh, there you go, there's what I want, happy birthday. Because before it was kind of always, I don't know, it was just hard to, I would end up pulling 18 sets of stamps off the shelf, and then I was always making a big mess. They stack real nice, so I'm really going to like that. This shelf just has Lazy Susan with some miscellaneous tools, more stamp stuff, more stamp stuff. Then on this, I have like ribbons and stuff. There's a couple of my cross stitch pieces that I mounted on the wall. And over here, just paper crafting. This bucket here is projects that I kind of want to get to sooner rather than later. So I put them there to kind of help me remember. Here's where I'm storing those cross stitch WIPs and soon to be WIPs and cross stitch patterns. My sewing box is down there. And we have a basket of random pictures that, you know, like date back many, many years I really should do something with. Lots of nice natural light in here. I did have my husband mount a TV, and I have the stuff, you can see it sitting there in the corner, to put on the cords so that they look nice. Over here I have my pegboard, and I have my quilting rulers hanging on the wall on either side. And I have learned quickly that if you want something, you should just look on Amazon to see if somebody's already invented it, because I was trying to figure out how I could mount my paper towel holder on here, and then I went and looked on Amazon and found out that there's actually a paper towel holder for a pegboard, so that was cool. Then over here is my desk, which I am toying with the idea of sanding down and painting navy blue. I love this desk, and actually it used to have a hutch, which I took off and got rid of at the other house, because I knew that in this house I wanted to just put shelves all the way up the wall. That gives me a lot more storage than the hutch ever did. But this desk, as you can see, is in pretty rough shape. Like here's the front of the drawer. It's well loved. I've probably had this desk for 25, 30 years, 25 years. And I love it, but it's looking a little worse for the wear. Just have my printer and stuff there. And then I put cross stitch everywhere. Here's the closet. I did take off the closet doors. Like I said, originally I was going to put all the cubbies in the closet. That didn't work out. But so in the closet, I do have the shelf up top where I've tried to label everything, or most everything, so that I can find it. Like there's my frame collection. I have a bookshelf back here in the corner. Excuse me. I try to use every last little bit of space. So my camera is hanging, camera bag's hanging up back there. Spot to hang my purse. That is a wrapping paper holder, and I took the top off because the top, I bought that several years ago before they started making the super long wrapping paper. So if you bought anything that was longer, you couldn't put the top on it. But I am now using that for multiple things. It has wrapping paper. It has my knitting, what do you call those things? The things you use when you're blocking, my blocking things. I don't know what to call them. You know, the craft paper that I use to back frames, my larger cross stitch projects. I have it all in there just because it contains it nicely. I just put my sewing machine is in there. I just bought that table last week. The one I had, I could not pull in and out of the closet if it was fully extended. And honestly, it was a little too big and I didn't want to leave it. I had a lot of reasons for why I decided to get a new one, but I got this new table. I think I'm going to really like that. And I picked that color combination for a reason you'll see in a minute. And then I put our filing cabinet in this corner with stuff on it. There's a few things that still have to be determined if we need to keep them or not. But so I can still get to the filing cabinet. I can still get to the stuff, but it's not out in the way. And then here is my favorite thing. I bought this toolbox thing. It's meant to go in a garage. But I bought it for my craft room, and that's why I picked the white and light colored sewing table, because I thought it would look nice with this. It has all these great drawers on the front. The top one is a full length, and they're all like soft close drawers. The bottom two are pretty deep, so you can fit a lot in there. One thing I really like, I think this is the one. Yeah, like I did this, like, again, I never at the other house could remember what punches I had, and they were in a basket, and I'd have to dig through the whole basket, and now I can open the drawer and see all of them all at once. I did a lot of things, like I took my markers out of their individual boxes and I put them all in one bin, which means I do have to dig for it, but at least I won't be like, oh, that color must be in a different box. So I did some stuff like that. I bought this particular version of this table because this one has a drop leaf back. This half of the table, and I do have a stool back here, you can actually fold the legs in and drop this back, and so then it's just a normal tool bench size. I will probably leave it out all the time, and this will probably be my paper crafting half, and then as you can see, my cutting mat for fabric fits quite nicely on this other side. So it just makes a really nice workspace, and there's still plenty of room all the way around to walk around and to sit back here. So I feel like it's not worth it to put it up and down, up and down. The cart also comes with an electrical cord and then a built-in power supply, which I have not plugged in yet, but I probably will get some of that stuff to go across the floor so I can plug it in. One of the problems with this house, and I say problem, it's not really a problem, but this house was built in 1964, which is not terribly old, but it, about half of the outlets in this house only have 2 prongs, which isn't a problem unless you want to plug something like a power strip in. And the electrical panel, although it passed inspection, needed a little bit of updating. So this past weekend, actually, my father-in-law and youngest brother-in-law came and they installed a brand new panel in the basement. And they're going to come back another day and they're going to update the rest of the outlets throughout the house that aren't 3-prong. Because some of them are 3-prong, but not all of them. And I think when they're here, I'm going to ask him to put an outlet in that closet for my sewing machine, because right now I have to use an extension cord. That really shouldn't be hard for them to do, because the other side of that wall is my son's bedroom, and there is an outlet on the other side of that wall. I've already looked. So anyway, this is my new craft room. I'm extremely excited about it, and I really think that it's going to be a great place to work. And I think that in comparison to my other one, and don't get me wrong, I was always very, very thankful that I had a craft room at our other house, but it was an odd shape and it didn't have great storage, and so it wasn't a fun place to be in, and I feel like this room is going to be a fun place to be in. Okay friends, so if you have stuck with me this long, I thank you, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing my new crafty space and all of my WIPs, and I do hope to get back on a schedule where I'm coming to you about every other month and showing you what I've been up to, and hopefully it will be a lot of good crafty stuff and not a lot of not fun stuff. It's still quite warm here in Michigan, even though it's the end of September. But the trees are starting to change, so fall is in the air, and that's exciting. I love summer. I actually like all the seasons. I would say, I don't know which is my least favorite. I like them all for various reasons. But I think, like a lot of things, I just get ready to move on to the next one. So I'm kind of ready to move on to fall. We are going camping next weekend, and I think that's going to be fun. Hopefully there will be some pretty leaves up north. Anyway, this has probably been super long, and if you made it to the end, I appreciate it. And I hope that you're all getting lots of fun crafting time in, and everything is well with everyone out there. And I will talk to you again soon. Happy crafting!